The Achilles heel of the human species, at the very foundation of the type of beings that we are, is ignorance. And by definition, ignorance is lack of knowledge. Due to that default vulnerability within us, it is that ignorance that is being attacked and capitalized on, literally on a planetary scale right now, by obviously the wicked people who are here, who have been studying humans and how to pull all this off. When you look at us as a species, and you have to kind of do this from a perspective of understanding what we are, understanding the vulnerabilities that are inherent to the very beings that we are. And when you can look at it with a more educated or mature look and see, wow, and have the wisdom of years to look back and see where humans are taken advantage of. It's their minds, they're capitalized on their ignorance by wicked. It's not too easy, or it's not too hard to figure that out. So I'm suggesting that how is it that we as a species have not become aware of this key vulnerability and how we are being attacked in these areas that we are ignorant and not spending the time to educate ourselves. It's kind of weird when you think about it that we are a species that's capable of intelligence. We have intelligence, we just have to feed it or grow it. We're capable of logic, deductive reasoning, and all that other stuff. And the things that anybody that's hearing my voice understands that humans are capable of. How in the hell is it that as a intelligent, sentient species, we have not figured out about ourselves where we are the most vulnerable, and then as a species developed very specific processes by which we strengthen or protect or defend these areas and aspects that are the very places in which we have been attacked for time immemorial. And it's not the brawn, the sword, the gun, in any of the contexts I'm referring to. It's ignorance. We're born blank slates. It's our lack of understanding of ourselves as a species and where we are vulnerable, where we are weak inherently, so that we spend the first developmental stages of our lives working to strengthen these pieces of the puzzle that makes up all the things that we are and can be. The human being is born a blank slate. We are wiped, or we're just blank, or both. Therefore, we must be taught. This is why the human child is born with its mind in the theta state for the first 7 years. And the wicked people on the planet know about this. Give me a child till it's 7 years old, and I will give you the man, says the Jesuit priest. We need to be taught everything. It's part of growing, learning. Some of it is being taught, some of it is feeding your mind with your own efforts. But because we are born ignorant, we must be taught everything. Everything. Whether it's interdimensional beings, aliens, Jews, wicked men, whatever category of being that exists that is currently and has been attacking humans, in all of the myriad of ways our species has endured the barrage of shit we've endured over the course of the time that we have as far as history, recorded history, and what we know. It is the very things that I'm mentioning here that have been capitalized on. The weaknesses and the vulnerabilities in us as beings. For those that know about the Jews, and when you might have heard me say this or remember that I've said this in the past, that a lot of what the Jews are doing to us is attacking us in the areas that are known as the seven deadlies. And they're enticing us into lust or gluttony or greed or sloth in the various ways that the things that they create into our societies do. It's kind of interesting. So they're capitalizing on what they know to be the vulnerabilities in those aspects of our being. The mind, the perception, it's really important. And when we are ignorant, we completely do not know, and in that state it is virtually impossible to obtain or to have the eyes to see when you are being lied to, manipulated, led, or any of the things that happen to the ignorant. And it's pretty obvious when you think of it in these terms why those that control the world, the Jews that have created Hollywood and the media mechanism and television and all the digital stuff to give us all the eye candy to keep us distracted and unconcerned about, well, developing ourselves as beings. Let's keep you entertained. Let's keep you distracted, occupied. Let's make sure, and as far as we can do it, as fast as we can do it, we can pass the weed laws and make it legal. Not because it should have ever been illegal, but because now they know everybody's going to want to go smoke weed because you haven't been able to for so long without risk of going to jail. So everybody will be stoned, stupid, thusly apathetic, and wanting to be entertained by their television or electronic device. Yet the being that is in that state is a Otherwise, an intelligent being needs to learn and look at what's happening to it. Look at what's happening to it. And in that single context, span that out to the whole planet, and how many people are in that place. These people on this planet are taking advantage of the ignorance of the human species. They're taking advantage of the very vulnerabilities that we as a species are unaware of because we don't know ourselves. Know thyself. There's a reason for that. And when you start thinking of it in this context, all of a sudden, know thyself. Well, what do you mean by it? It begins to have a whole new meaning. Look at where we're vulnerable. Look at the vulnerabilities in us as a human species that are being capitalized upon by these evil people in all the facets of our lives that they are being capitalized on. At the foundation, where some of the things you'll find is clearly our perception is being controlled, manipulated, crafted for us. How the hell could that happen if we're intelligent beings? Because we're ignorant. Because we don't know. Because, well, there it is. Because we're ignorant, we don't know. And in that state, we're easily led. We're easily manipulated. We're gullible. Many of us. And when you think about it, this is not rocket science. This is just sitting and contemplating, well, where are they capitalizing on us? Where have humans always been vulnerable throughout history? What have the evil ruling elites always done? And you start to see the patterns of where they start to manipulate us through mind, through ignorance, through any of the aspects of the human species that are vulnerable, weak, they're not focused on, and they know as a species, well, hey, they don't make it a practice to strengthen those aspects of themselves, learn anything about those aspects of themselves, so thusly we're going to go and it's kind of interesting because if you look at it, if you really are trying to grow and evolve a species, you're going to start doing that stuff, attack them where they're weak. And those that will see it will strengthen themselves. And we might want them. And this is for some benevolent thing of trying to grow a being for some benevolent purpose. And then the ones that don't see it, don't have the genetics to have the intelligence to see it, they're too lazy to do the work, whatever, they'll perish, they'll go away back to entropy, whatever the fuck it is that happens to them. I don't know. But it's like, wow, when you start looking at this, it's kind of interesting that well, there's that whole negative side of all these evil pricks doing all this evil shit, attacking us humans on all of our vulnerable weaknesses, and they're doing a really goddamn good job of it. And they're turning our world upside down. They're making our lives suck, blah, 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 blah. And I'm right, and you know that, and I know that, and there's probably 100 things I could have said to add to that. But on the flip side of that coin, it's like, holy shit. If we could just recognize this as a species and begin to do the work on ourselves that's necessary for these fucks not to be able to capitalize on the myriad of vulnerabilities and weaknesses within us as a species, take responsibility for figuring out what the fuck we are, doing something about our weaknesses, all of a sudden these pricks wouldn't be able to do to the world, or any one of us, the most ridiculous shit that they're doing to the entirety of the world now. I mean, how easy is it for them to manipulate the perception of the entirety of the fucking world in our current state? Meaning the television, the media, and just think about how easy it is for them to have done what it is they've done, even though there are those of us who see through it, who recognize as much of the details and all the stuff that we do. Most of us are on BitChute and some of these alternative platforms, but you get my point. We see it. The vast majority does not. None of this is rocket science. And this is us looking at ourselves as a species in a point where we're all kind of weary because we've been clearly being attacked for the last 8 months. How are they doing this to us? How is it so easy for them? Why are they doing it? And A, they're evil pricks. B, some spiritual forces using the evil on this planet to kind of point out to the humans, hey fuckers, this is where you're vulnerable. We're going to keep poking those wounds and attacking those vulnerabilities until some of you begin to pull your heads out of your asses, learn a little bit about yourselves, start protecting and developing those aspects of yourselves, grow yourselves as human beings, and watch your species evolve, and you'll no longer be led like chattel slaves, kept like chattel slaves, manipulated, deceived as easily, led like cattle, corralled, manipulated, and all that shit. It's like, when are we going to wake up to some of this shit? Because I'm not a fucking genius. I'm an average dude just with a reflective kind of thinking, processing mind. I'm just using the faculties that whatever the fuck it was that put me here gave me. And this is relatively easy to see. It's just what I see, and I'm just a human that's bringing my piece, or the pieces that I see, to bear in these monologues for those that are looking for their own puzzle pieces. And you sit with this shit and see how it resonates within you. There's a lot for us to know about ourselves. That ties back to the video that I did about human suffering, the one with the pyramid on it, the green picture with the pyramid on it. If you look down in the history and you haven't seen it, it has to do with human suffering. It's mind-blowing for me now that I have this awareness. When I think about it, it's like, how the fuck is it that we as a species do not, consciously know, could easily rattle off where our vulnerabilities are as a species? And how the hell is it that for as long as we've walked this earth, or at least this version of us, as a whole, as a collective, we haven't recognized this. Mind, knowledge, perception, emotional body, psychological body, things of that nature. This is the makeup of all of this stuff combined makes, us and our perception. I don't know if we're just in more modern times and a lot of this information is more commonly available versus people of, 2,000 years ago. But it's clear when you look at some of these things like Pythagoras and people who lived long ago, there were some real smart people here before. They knew an awful lot about the stars way back then, so it's like maybe they knew a lot about themselves, and that's why, who the hell was it that said know thyself? Either way, they made those statements back then, so I guess it's fair to say they did freaking know. They did know. Or know thyself probably wouldn't have been something that humans have been hearing about for a long time, and it's 2 words, it's not all that philosophically challenging or like, wow. But when you think about it, when you actually think about it, those 2 simple words, oh boy, he was really telling us a lot. Know thyself, humans. Know thyself. And until you do, look at what's happening to you. Look at what's happening to the planet. Do you believe that this would be able to happen to us if we did not know ourselves and had put in some work at some previous point in our existence as a race or in any of our individual lives to develop ourselves, protect our vulnerabilities, and strengthen our weaknesses? I mean, think about it. The little 120-pound pencil-neck pipsqueak can hit the gym and eat right for a year, and he gets big. He hits it for 2 years. He's fucking, like, ripped in diesel. He's in there for 3 years, and he's like this massive motherfucker, and he started as a pencil-neck pipsqueak. It's the work you got to put in to strengthen the muscles. Why did the pencil-neck pipsqueak decide to hit the gym in the first place? Some could argue that one of the reasons he might have is because he saw himself as weak and vulnerable. Maybe he got his ass kicked a few times, and he got tired of getting his ass kicked. The metaphor, the analogy in that applies to us as a species. We've always been getting our asses kicked. We're currently getting our asses kicked. When are we, as the proverbial pencil-neck pipsqueaks, going to get into the fucking gym with an awareness, the metaphorical gym, with an awareness of where we are weak and begin to fucking strengthen ourselves? On some levels, you can look at where the perversions in our world exist and see that those perversions are manifesting out of the vulnerable spots in the human species. Our sex, sexuality, things of that nature. Look at the fucking world. It's clearly there is a weakness, a vulnerability due to the species that we are, and look at how easy it was for them to pervert us. If we had awareness of this, took a completely different perspective and philosophy on this stuff, then began to teach our children these things so it was a part of them from a young age, all of a sudden, a 16-year-old girl might not be thinking about having butt sex to break her virginity kind of thing. We might get back to something that more resembles balance and a healthy existence and kind of purge our own toxins from the body of humanity. Just as in the microcosmic aspect of your body, it has some mechanisms in it to purge toxins. When you really get down to it, people, we either do this shit or we die. We either do this shit that I'm talking about here. Know thyself. Understand, comprehend what you are, how you were engineered, and where the weaknesses that were built into you, for better or for worse, for benevolent purposes or malevolent purposes, doesn't make a difference. They exist. And until we decide to do something to protect and to strengthen the vulnerabilities and weaknesses in us as individuals, which ties into the body of humanity, we're going to be that pencil-neck geek, pipsqueak, out on the fucking ball field or the playground, consistently getting beat up by the bullies that are everywhere. And until we obtain the knowledge of this, get pissed off enough, get tired enough of this shit happening to us, go hit the gym for however long it takes so that when I turn around and hammer fist the bully in the face and break his fucking nose and knock his teeth down his fucking throat. You see? It's metaphor. It applies. It fits like a fucking glove. Like a fucking glove. It's kind of amazing to me how such a simple analogy can apply to what our fucking problem is right now as a species. This is our problem. We're the pencil-neck pipsqueaks right now. And the bullies are all around us, and they're kicking our fucking asses. And all we would have to do is fucking take a sledgehammer to our TVs. A couple of very simple things. Begin to fucking educate ourselves, learn about ourselves, spend some time doing some work. Not that hard when you really think about it and talk it out. It's not like rocket science, string theory, or calculus in trigonometry and all those uber complex, intricate, freaking mathematical type things. What are that, differential equations and shit like that? No. This is just sitting here looking at ourselves as a species, as a human species. Where are we getting attacked? Where are we vulnerable? and identifying this shit and doing some work. Basic. Human 101. We're not near algebra yet. Human 101. This should be kindergarten for us. First through sixth grade type shit. Maybe even into middle school. So that as high schoolers, we're kind of in the metaphor or the analogy that I'm giving you here. Think on what I'm saying. And then do something about it. Because just like I've said before, I can't do your push-ups. You can't do my push-ups. I can't do your bench press. You can't do mine. You want the chest? You want the traps? You want the back arm? You got to do the pushing. Take it easy, people.